Before this story begins, I want to say one thing. If you are someone who watches my stories regularly, if you comment on my videos, and if you stay till the end, then a surprise gift is waiting for you. Not today, but very soon, so make sure you're listening carefully. Now, let me take you to a place that should never be visited after sunset. The village of Whispering Nights, far away from cities, far away from lights. There was an old village, forgotten by time. A village where nights were never silent. Every single night, strange sounds echoed through the narrow streets. Sometimes it sounded like a child crying. Sometimes like an animal screaming in pain. And sometimes like someone calling your name softly from the dark. People of the village had learned one rule since childhood: never go outside after midnight, because whenever someone did, something always disappeared. The disappearances. At first it was animals. A goat tied outside would be gone by morning. No blood, no footprints, just nothing. Then one night, a dog vanished from right in front of its owner. The owner swore he heard a woman laughing just before the rope snapped. After that, children started disappearing. One child every few nights, not from the forest, not from the fields, from inside their own homes. Beds left warm, doors still locked, and yet the child was gone. Fear takes over. The village slowly turned into a place of fear. Mothers stopped sleeping. Fathers sat awake with sticks and knives. Children were forbidden from leaving their rooms after dark. And yet, every night someone would whisper, "It happened again." People gathered in groups, speaking in low voices, afraid the night itself was listening. That's when someone finally said her name. The woman in the hut. At the edge of the village, near the dry fields and broken trees, stood a small, rotting hut. Inside lived an old woman. No one knew her real age. Some said she was 60. Others said she was older than the village itself. She rarely spoke, rarely came out. But everyone knew one thing. She knew things. Things no normal human should know. They said she understood the language of spirits. They said shadows listened to her. They said she had once stopped a curse many years ago. So one night, when fear became unbearable, the villagers went to her. The old woman listened quietly. She didn't interrupt, didn't react. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ground as people described the missing children, the sounds, the laughter. When they finished, she slowly raised her head and said something that made everyone's blood run cold. "You should have come sooner." The villagers froze. She stood up, walked outside, looked at the dark sky. And then she said, "Tonight, I will show you the truth." The ritual. She told them to meet her after midnight in the open field beyond a village. Everyone hesitated. But fear was stronger than reason. That night, under a moonless sky, the villagers gathered. The old woman drew a large circle on the ground, placed candles around it. Murmured words no one understood. The air grew heavy. The wind stopped. villagers watched in horror as the creature lifted it and dragged it into the darkness as if it weighed nothing. No one screamed, no one breathed. The old woman stepped forward and spoke to the creature as if she knew her. The deal, the creature stopped, turned, and in a voice that sounded like many women speaking at once, she said, "You have watched long enough." The old woman replied calmly, "They want protection." The creature laughed, a laugh that echoed inside their heads. Then she said the words that will change the village forever. "If you want safety, every man, woman, and animal must offer a part of themselves." She paused and smiled wider. "Blood." The villagers looked at each other in horror.
Everyone?
Blood from everyone. Before anyone could speak, the creature added one final sentence. "If you refuse, I will take more than children." And then she vanished, leaving the candles flickering violently, and the old woman standing silent. No one spoke. The candles trembled, their flames bending as if something unseen was still standing among them. The old woman broke the silence. "You heard her," she said quietly. "This village is already chosen." A man stepped forward. His voice shook. "Blood from everyone? Children too?" The old woman did not answer immediately. She picked up one candle, stared into its flame. Then she said, "If the ritual is not completed, she will not stop with children." A low murmur spread through the crowd. Fear mixed with anger, doubt and division. Some villagers shouted that it was madness. Others begged the old woman to find another way. But deep inside, everyone already knew the truth. This thing had been hunting them for a long time, and it was not leaving. That night, the village split into two sides. Those who believed this sacrifice was the only way to survive, and those who believed they were being tricked into something far worse. Families argued inside their homes. Parents held their children tighter than ever before. No one slept. The first sign just before dawn. A scream echoed from the far end of the village. They ran. Too late. Another child was gone. But this time, something was different. On the floor, near the empty bed, there was blood. Not much. Just enough to prove a message. The creature was waiting. The old woman's secret. By morning, the villagers returned to the hut. This time they did not knock. They demanded answers. The old woman listened, then finally said something she had never said before. She was once human. Everyone froze. The old woman explained. Long ago, before the village existed, a woman lived in the forest. She was loved. She was promised marriage, but she was betrayed, left alone, pregnant. Hunted by her own people, they chased her into the forest, accused her of witchcraft. And when she begged for mercy, they burned her alive. But death did not take her. hatred did. And what rose from those ashes was no longer human. Why the village was chosen. The villagers realized something terrifying. Their village stood on land soaked in old blood. Their ancestors had built homes over a curse. And now, the debt was being collected. A dangerous hope. One young man spoke up. "What if we leave?" he asked. "What if we abandon the village?" The old woman shook her head slowly. "She is tied to you now. She knows your names." Then she added something worse. "And she is not alone." Night falls again. As night approached, a strange calm settled over the village. People prepared bowls, small cuts, silent tears. No one spoke. Even the children sensed something terrible was about to happen. The old woman walked through the village, placing symbols on doors with ash. She stopped at one house longer than the others. Inside lived a young woman and a man who loved her deeply.